Hello class, welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson we're going to be going over 1-point perspective. So what is perspective? Well, prior to the Renaissance time, artists didn't really use perspective very much in artwork. Perspective is the way that you see things, how things look three-dimensional. And what I mean by people didn't really use perspective, they knew it was there, it was just with art, they were more focused on telling a story rather than making sure that everything was precise. So for instance, in this artwork right here, this artwork tells a story of an invading army. Pretty straightforward. We get that. Now, if this city were actually drawn to correct proportion, well, these people would be massive. They would be 30, 40 foot tall. And not only that, this wall would probably be setting on an angle kind of like that. I mean, it would not be practical. That ladder right there would be taller than most people. I mean, why would he even use a ladder? I mean, look, that guy can literally just walk over the wall. Perspective did not matter in art until the Renaissance because they were more focused on telling a story. Now, in the Renaissance, it kind of shifted. The Renaissance time era, they decided, hey, maybe we can tell a story and have proper perspective. So they actually developed a method of perspective. And it's called, well, perspective. That's what it is. Now, there's different types of perspective. The one thing that we're going to be looking at is 1-point perspective. And what perspective is, it basically means that at one point, everything converges into one place. So all the lines that are created in this artwork actually go down and meet at one center point. That is called the vanishing point. That is where everything eventually leads down to. And whenever you have artwork like that, it makes things get smaller as it gets further away from you. That gives you the illusion of depth and distance in your artwork. And that's what perspective does. So the terms that we want to look at today, we want to look at vanishing point, horizontal lines, and vertical lines. Now, like I said, the vanishing point is where all lines eventually meet. They all meet right there. And if you draw a line straight down through here, connecting all of these things together, they will all meet right there. Just like the railroad tracks, the lines on the walls, the ceiling, the telephone poles, they all meet right there at the vanishing point. Then we want to look at horizontal lines. And horizontal lines just go left to right. That's it. They go boop, boop. That's it. Straight line, left to right. The next thing we want to look at is vertical lines. And vertical lines go up and down. Up, down, that's it. Just a straight line up and down. It doesn't curve. So in a 1-point perspective drawing, there is only 3 types of lines. Okay? There's vertical lines, horizontal lines, and then lines that go to the vanishing point. If it is a diagonal line, it has to go to the vanishing point. Okay, so now that we got the recap done, how many vanishing points do you think that there can be in an artwork? Well, typically artworks have 1 to 3, but you can actually have as many vanishing points as you want. For instance, Van Gogh in this artwork has a vanishing point. Can you guess where you think the vanishing point is? Well, the vanishing point's actually right there in the window, and you can see that by lining up the bedpost right here, up top, the horizon line right there, and in the ceiling going down. All of those lines, oh, and the chair, all of those lines line up to the vanishing point. What about this artwork? Can you see the vanishing point in here? In actuality, there are 2 vanishing points. And you can see them just like that. So the first vanishing point, you can actually see on screen, it's that right there. And the other vanishing point would actually be about right here, maybe? Yeah, about right there. So that one is off screen, and you can have vanishing points off screen. This is an example of a 3-point perspective. where you actually have one perspective being up off the paper, and then you have perspective on the other two sides, one over there and one back here, and it creates kind of like a cityscape kind of angle, like you're looking up at it. It's pretty neat. So your assignment for today, you are going to be making your very own 1-point perspective artwork using nothing but lines, ruler, pencil. That's it. If you want to color it later on, you can, but we are going to be making a cityscape, and you can either do this by looking from above or below. This is an example, and you can actually see the vanishing point is right up there, that little dot in the middle of the street, and you can almost imagine all the lines are going to that, and that's because it's a vanishing point. See if I can bring my mouse over here. Vanishing point is right there. If you line a ruler up, you can see that all the lines are actually pointing to that vanishing point. So this is from bird's eye looking down. I don't have many students that do this, but I do have a few. And then we have, mainly my students like to do artworks like this, and this is from city view looking up. So you see the vanishing point is obviously right there in the middle, and then all the building's lines are going right to it. Now, something you want to keep in mind, when you are doing 1-point perspective, there's only 3 kinds of lines. That's it. There is a vertical line, which we have right here. There is a horizontal line, which we have right there. And then you have diagonal lines like this, like that right there, that line. And all the diagonal lines are going to the center. So it is either perfectly straight up and down, perfectly straight left and right, or it is going to the vanishing point. That's it. That's the only 3 lines you have in this entire artwork. Well, then how do you do the side of the building? Well, it's easy. Look at that. It's a straight line. Boom. Vertical line, up and down. Horizontal line, right here. That's it. And then diagonal line. That's your only 3 lines in the entire artwork. Here's another example. Diagonal lines, vertical lines. That's it. That's all you have. Just like this. Diagonal lines, vertical lines. That's it. Here's another example. Now, I am going to be cutting to a live demonstration so you can see exactly how to make this artwork, but please keep in mind, you only have 3 lines. That's it. If it is not a perfectly straight up and down line or a vertical line, that's what it's called, or if it is not a horizontal line or a line that is going left to right, it has to go to the vanishing point. You can't just have an odd line going whoop off in nowhere. It doesn't work like that. It always has to go to the vanishing point. All right. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. If you'd like to follow along with our other lessons, go ahead and subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to cut to the live demonstration. Thank you all very much for watching. Okay, so this is our tutorial for the 7th grade or Art 2 perspective drawing. And in this drawing, what you're going to be doing, you're going to be making a 1-point perspective drawing of a cityscape. And it's very simple to do. Just keep in mind that the only 3 types of lines that you're going to be using in this artwork is a vertical line, which means it's a line that goes up and down, just like this. A horizontal line that goes left to right as soon as my camera focuses back in. Left to right from here to here. And if it's neither a vertical line or a horizontal line, it's a diagonal line that is always going to go to the vanishing point. And what you are going to need today, you are going to need a straight edge of some kind. A straight edge is simply something that has a straight edge on it. I'm going to be using a ruler. And you're going to need a pencil. If you choose to color your artwork afterwards, you're going to need to have something to color it with, or you're going to need to shade it. Either way, this is how you get started drawing a 1-point perspective cityscape. First thing you need to do is you need to pick where your vanishing point is. So I'm going to pick a point right about here. And it doesn't matter where it is. It can be up here, it can be down here, it can be over here. Typically it's somewhere in the middle of the artwork, but you can have it anywhere. Now once you have your vanishing point there, this is where all of the diagonal lines are going to be going. So if I make a line right here, it's going to go to the vanishing point. Vertical lines are always going to be vertical. They're straight up and down. Horizontal lines are always going to be left to right, straight across. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start drawing the edges of the buildings. And these buildings, we're going to be looking up into the sky. So it doesn't really matter where you draw these. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to draw a line right here. You're going to go from the edge all the way up to the vanishing point. And this is going to be the side of the building that you're looking at. So it's going to be going up. So we have one side done. Now I'm going to decide how wide I want my building to be. And I'm going to draw another line right here. Okay, and that's basically all you need to do for a building. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a couple more in here just so we can use these as examples. And I'm just going to draw some lines. And every one of these is going to be a new building. Okay, so I have all my diagonal lines going to the vanishing point. Now what I need to do is I need to add in horizontal lines. And these horizontal lines are going to be the tops of the buildings. So a horizontal line is straight across. It is not cut diagonally like this. It is a straight line going from left to right. So I'm going to go down through here and I'm going to decide where the tops of my buildings are. So I'm going to say that this one is right here. That's the top of that building. Okay, now I'm going to jump down here and I'm going to put another building top right here. I'm going to put another one here. And then I'm going to start jumping back up here. I'm going to have this one be really tall. It's going to go all the way up there. And then I'm going to have one right here. Now that we have that, all we need to do is erase our lines going to the vanishing point from the top of the buildings. And we are almost done. We have added in the diagonal lines going to the vanishing point. We also have the horizontal lines, which is going to be the tops of the buildings. Now we need to add in the vertical lines. And the vertical lines are going to be the back of the building. And it's very simple to do. Basically, you run your ruler across your artwork like this. And if there is any point that you can actually see, not through the building, but behind the building, like this right here, you can see that if you move a ruler across up, well, you know that there is part of the building right there. Then you're going to draw a line going from that corner down, and that is your vertical line. And if you move over this way, you can see that this line right here is basically in the center, and you can't see that line, so we're not going to draw it. But this one, if you notice, you can see that line. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw this line at that edge of the building. And there we have buildings going up to a vanishing point. And that's as easy as it is. It's very simple to do one-point perspective with this. It is only diagonal lines, vertical lines, or horizontal lines. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in the area up here, and you can watch. And there we have our buildings. Now, if you wanted to add in windows to these, windows is exactly the same way with the horizontal and vertical lines and the diagonal lines. You will need to have all your window panes going to the vanishing point. Otherwise, it's just going to look odd. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in windows to this one right here. That would probably be the easiest one. So I'm going to go ahead and add in windows. So what I'm doing with that, I'm deciding how far apart I want the windows panes to be. So I'm going to put it right about here, and I'm going to draw the line up from the bottom to the vanishing point, but since it's not going to have the window panes going above the building, I'm just going to stop it at the top of the building. And that's it. All you need to do is just line up where you want your window panes to be, kind of eyeball it, and add them in. Now, if you wanted to actually have ledges on the windows, that's going to be a little bit different. Now, this is completely optional, but if you wanted to add in window panes on there, what you need to start with is you need to find out where your first and second lines are. So what I like to do is start with a horizontal line right here that goes across that section. And then we move on up, and I'm going to place my ruler down here again, and I'm going to draw another horizontal line. And that's all that the window panes are, just horizontal lines. Now, as it gets further away from you, just like up here, they get closer together. So a good method to find out where the next one's going to be is you're going to draw a line from one corner to the center of that, and you're going to connect those together. So just like this. And that is where your next window pane's going to be at. So it is from the corner through the center of your second line, and that leads you to your next window pane. So I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to do the same thing. So from the corner, you're going to eyeball out the center, which is right about there. And then you're going to draw that line going through it. So as you can see, that goes right about there too. Then you line up your ruler and you know that's where the next one's going to be at. Like I said, this is completely optional, but if you're a perfectionist and you want to see exactly where the next window row is going to be at, that's what you do. So I'm going to do this again just to show you. You're going to go from the corner through the center of the next line up, and that is going to be where your next window is going to lay. Right there. Okay, and that is how you do window panes going up. Like I said, this is completely optional. If you'd like to do this, you can. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about this. So, what you are going to be doing today, you are going to be making your very own cityscape like this. And you are going to need to have at least 5 buildings in the artwork. And they cannot all be on one side. For instance, I have 5 buildings right here. That's perfectly fine, but you need to have buildings on both sides of the artwork. So you could have 3 over here and 2 over here, and that's perfectly fine. You need to make sure that it's either fully colored or shaded. And you also need to make sure that you have one building that has windows. And like I said, you can do the very simple to the vanishing point windows if you want, or you can do the actual window panes like this. It's completely up to you. So you need to show 1-point perspective, only using horizontal, vertical, and vanishing point lines, so lines that go to the vanishing point. Make sure you have 5 buildings on both sides included, so 5 buildings total, and one of those buildings need to have window panes. Make sure it's either fully shaded or colored. Okay, thank you all very much.